I was so focused on trying to like learn what's going on, I couldn't laugh at anything.
Ahsoka is like the 5th or 6th show we've done with an orange-faced person.
Ahsoka is a sequel to Star Wars Rebels.
Ahsoka has been really hard for me to pronounce, and I have to keep saying it in my head.
Ahsoka.
There's no way we're going to be able to top this. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining our show. We'll see you next time.
Don't forget to watch the first of things.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to.
But you still can.
Yep. We are doing Ahsoka Tano, I think, right?
Yeah.
On Disney Plus, everybody. We are doing the very first episode entitled Checks Notes. It's not entitled Checks Notes.
Part 1, Master and Apprentice.
Master and Apprentice, that's the one. Thank you very much for that, Muhammad. So if you'd like us to review a show, this is Sci-Fi Month, or in this case, it's Sci-Fi Month, if this is considered a science fantasy show, since it's Star Wars, but it's Sci-Fi Month. If you want us to review a show, in the comments below, type WTF and the show you'd like us to review and where we can find it. For example, for this one, you would have said WTF Ahsoka on Disney Plus. Please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate it. Actor Jennifer Durst is here.
Hello.
Yeah. I was trying to catch you by surprise.
You should put fake applause when you announce it.
Like, she's an amazing actress, everybody, and you are going to love hearing from her. But also, Dr. Muhammad Noor is here.
Hello, always a pleasure to be on Virtual TrekCon 5, as well as Fallingtower's Watch the First of Things.
This dude's prepared. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I'm happy to be on all those things as well. But do I like Star Wars? You guys know I'm a Star Trek fan. We're about to find out. Here we go. In our first game, we like to call
Predicaments, where we each predict what each other thought of the show without giving away whether we liked it ourselves.
Totally my favorite part of the show. Seriously,
Totally.
Jen. So Muhammad and I have known each other for a few years pretty well. We text back and forth. I sent him a meme a few minutes ago. We giggled. That was pretty funny.
That was very funny.
It was good. Jen and I have known each other for quite some. It feels like I'm getting a number. I'm getting 2015. I don't know if that's accurate.
I think that's the exact number.
Oh,
wow. We've known each other for 2015 days. So we know each other pretty darn well. Muhammad and Jen know each other fairly well, maybe off and on the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to predict what each other thought of Ahsoka. Okay, Muhammad, I think you like Star Wars. I think you like it less than Star Trek.
that's not just saying a whole lot.
Yeah, but you know, there's some people, you know, and I think this particular one, I feel as though you've always had an interest in watching this series, but you have not watched it yet, but you are happy for this excuse to see it, and you ended up enjoying it quite a bit. Jen, I feel like you have already seen this, and I feel like you enjoyed it. Not your favorite Star Wars thingamajig, but you liked it quite a bit in the past. You liked it a tiny bit more this time. You're going to be pretty high. I think you're both going to be right around the 8 range. What do you think, Muhammad?
Interesting. So I'll start with Jen. Actually, my prediction was similar. I'm guessing that Jen has seen this before. I'm guessing you liked it, like, again, like as Ryan said, probably not your very favorite thing, but I think you liked it very solidly. Ryan, I'm going to say that you're 1 notch down, because my guess is that you probably have not watched some of the cartoons that Ahsoka came from, especially since you paused at the beginning about her last name. So I'm guessing at that point that maybe you're not so familiar with the context of this. So it was a little bit like, okay, it's a lot to figure out that they seem to be assuming I know, but You probably thought there was enough there that you could figure out enough that like, okay. So I think you're like warm, but not like, oh my God, that was great. It's like, it's okay. Ahsoka.
Okay.
Pass it on to Jen.
Ahsoka.
But I should give
Ahsoka.
credit to the Ahsoka comment. Ryan actually said that a long time ago. You gave me credit at the beginning, but you actually said that a long time ago. I was actually quoting you.
So which I didn't hear what you said unless you
You're
were
muted.
He was like,
Oh, sorry. I said we can recycle jokes. It's so.
There you go.
okay.
Imitation is sincere as for flattery, right?
Go ahead, Jen.
I'm gonna go with Muhammad first. I actually kind of agree with Ryan in a way that you didn't see it yet, but I don't think you were like had it on your list to see. I think it was just kind of like this is a good excuse to watch it because you kind of wanted to see it, but you were kind of like, we'll see what happens. But I do think you enjoyed it, but I think you gave it maybe like a 7.5. That's what I think. Ryan is tricky. Because
Tricky.
but I do think you enjoy Star Wars. I know you say Star Trek is your main thing, but I do think you enjoy Star Wars. But I also think it's the same thing. Like you kind of use this show as an excuse to watch it. But I think you're gonna give it like an 8. What I think.
Wow, these are all high guesses for all of us. But are we correct? Are we all projecting? Do we all think that the other person just likes dumb crap? Is that what we're into? Who knows? Everybody, it's time for you to make your predictions. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Muhammad liked it? What about Jennifer Durst, a.k.a. Jen Dursty, a.k.a. Jenny, a.k.a. Jurassic Jen?
The AKAs. But they're all real ones, though.
Yeah, you probably have more, I bet, too.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Hand model. All right. Make your predictions, everybody, in the live chat or in the comments below. Take your time, no rush. Dr. Muhammad Noor is going to buy you a little bit of time by telling us all what this show is even about.
I'll do my best. A witch had been seeking a map to reach the exiled Imperial Admiral Thrawn, but she was captured by former Jedi in training, Ahsoka Tano. However, 2 rogue Jedi free the witch. Ahsoka finds the map that the witch was seeking, but is unable to open it. She seeks out her former Padawan, Sabine Wren, for help. Sabine is still mourning one of her old rebel friends who vanished at the same time as Imperial Admiral Thrawn, and enticed by the possibility of finding him, she decides to help. Sabine is eventually able to open the map, showing Thrawn is in a faraway galaxy, but one of the rogue Jedi and her robot assistants steal the map and impale Sabine with a lightsaber before Ahsoka is able to come help.
Excellent. All right, everybody. That was good stuff. So,
trying to avoid putting in too many names because there are a lot of names.
There were a lot of names.
Yeah.
Not as much
I know.
as,
I was looking down at like all the characters' names because I can't even pronounce half of them.
not as much as that one show. There was one sci-fi show we did a few months ago that had like
Dominion. It was
40 names.
It was I keep thinking Dominion. It's not Dominion. It's something like that.
No, but anyway,
Yeah.
it was
Foundation. That was it.
Okay. So check this out, everybody. It is time for Muhammad's favorite part of the show, which is called.
This is why I just get excited. This is what we call expectation. We spend a little bit of time on what you expected before you watch the show, and a lot more time on what you actually get as you watch the show. Or as Ryan says, far better, far more eloquently, we like to compare and contrast what we expected with what we actually got after watching the show. First part, we don't say what we thought of it. We're just expecting.
Love it. All right, everybody, let's do it. Dr. Muhammad Noor, before you watch this first episode of Ahsoka, entitled Part 1, Master and Apprentice, what did you expect, if anything?
So I had seen some of the Clone Wars cartoons, so I knew who Ahsoka was from that. I had not actually seen Star Wars Rebels at all. I mean, I remember it existed, but I had not watched it at all. That said, I did see the Mandalorian episode where this Ahsoka actually shows up and is, is there with the child and stuff like that. So I had a little bit of context of like, okay, I know she's still around, she's not just gone. And, I had a little bit of a sense that there's going to be some, like, these are her pursuits. Now, in terms of the broader plot of what was going to be happening with this show, like, what is Ahsoka pursuing and who is she with? Or is she just like on her own, kind of like Mandalorian was in the very beginning of that series? I had no idea. I had no idea what the plot was going to be in that sense, except it's in the Star Wars universe in this time frame. So that was, I expected, hopefully a good adventure show and probably more arc based. And it seems like most of the Star Wars series are arc based rather than episodic. So that's what I was expecting.
Well, now, Jurassic Jen, what did you expect before you saw this first episode of Ahsoka, if anything?
Well, I think I was on the first watching Rebels with you guys, unless it was a dream. So
Yeah, I believe it was. I was looking that up.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I enjoyed Rebels a lot, and I thought I was gonna keep watching it, but I didn't. So I kind of felt like this was gonna be the same thing. Like I was gonna enjoy it and then like not watch it because it's basically like the same characters actually on Rebels, which I realized too because I do remember them. So, but I think they're older or something like that. But the same thing with I didn't know what Muhammad said. I didn't know what to expect, like what was the storyline going to be, what was anything like that going to be. But I thought I would probably enjoy it, but not want to see more, or say I want to see more and then not be motivated to watch any more of it, kind of thing. Just like kind of like Rebels, because I really enjoyed Rebels a lot, like better than I thought. But then I never watched any more of it. Until actually watching this, I tried to watch a little bit more to get a little bit more of the characters.
Did you like it a lot? Because on episode 106 of Falling Towers, Watch the First podcast.
What did I rate it? I'm
not saying, but I wouldn't use the term liked it a lot.
I thought I did though. I don't know.
Maybe you did.
I thought I enjoyed it, but I don't know. Maybe I rated it bad.
But I will say one of us, it was myself, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, you, and Josh Sussman, our pal. One of the four of us did not care for that show very much at all. So
I remember liking it, but maybe again it was a dream. I don't know.
That's episode 106. Everybody go check that out when we review Star Wars Rebels. So for this episode, for this show, I'll tell you what I expected. I didn't know much about it. I knew it existed. I remember there was a hubbub about it. I feel like maybe it came out a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. That's what it feels like,
They promoted that much, like that they usually do to me.
I felt like they did, but maybe it was just social media that was promoting it. Like new Star Wars, new this, Rosario Dawson, I think, something, right? Mm-hmm. And so, which is a big name and people like that. And, I didn't know anything about that it's a continuation of Rebels or anything like that. In fact, before I started watching it, I checked the Star Wars timeline because it's kind of fun to see where things fall. I realized I was just about to play it. I'm like, I have no idea where this fits. And I bet you I probably should know. I need to find that out. And it takes place basically right after Return of the Jedi. So, or a few years after, but basically right after.
And it overlaps Mandalorian.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to figure that out too, actually.
So I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I like Star Wars. I've seen all of the 11 movies. I think Empire Strikes Back was always my favorite, but also very much liked Rogue One. Yeah, Rogue One had a fantastic ending. Solo was pretty good. So that's where I was. I was just kind of like, probably going to enjoy it. Star Wars is cool, usually for the most part. Although I have a history when we do Star Wars of liking the first episode, but not actually watching the rest of it. I think I watched the first season of Mandalorian and then was like, eh. And I think that's it. I think all the others I didn't end up watching the second. So who knows what would happen here. Dr. Muhammad Noor, that's what we expected. Everybody pencils down. Hope you got your predictions in because we're about to tell you what we actually got.
Yeah, I remember we weren't crazy about Andor when we did watch the first for that.
True.
It was kind of, it was okay. Barely okay.
That one was disappointing to me too.
Yeah. It's just I mean, people said if you stuck with it, it gets better, but like, it was not enough for me to stick with
I
it.
agreed.
This one was better than Andor. I'll start with that. I liked it. I mean, I'd say I liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it. I liked it, yeah, overall. Um, it was fun seeing Ahsoka because, like I said, I remembered her just as a little kid from the Clone Wars cartoon, and seeing more of her. Obviously, I'd seen the one episode with her with Grogu and stuff like that in Mandalorian, but seeing more of her storyline now and filling in some of the gaps, which a lot of the gaps probably were in Rebels, but like I didn't watch Rebels, so I didn't know what had happened with her. But filling in some of the gaps of that story was kind of fun. I love her little smirk, which I don't know how much of that's just the actress, but that little smirk she'd do very often. I was like, oh, that's adorable. I love that. The VFX I thought were very good. I mean, I'm curious if you guys think so. You guys are more professionals in this area, but I thought the VFX were actually quite good through a lot of it there. Um, I felt like there was a fair amount of setup, which I'll come back to what I thought about that. Like it's good in the sense of setting up a world and like some world building, but there were some aspects I didn't like, so I'll come back to that. And I thought the ending was excellent because it definitely was a like gasp moment at the ending, like oh, you're really wondering like, is she dead? I mean, I don't see how she's not dead. She just got impaled, and stuff like that. So that was very dramatic after seeing that. So those were good. I didn't like that it almost seemed to assume you'd seen Rebels. I felt like that. I mean, it gave enough that you'd figure out eventually, but it was like a little bit of a struggle. It's like, okay, I don't know who all these people. I don't know who Sabine is. I don't know who that robot guy was. I don't know what was the friend Ezra, Hera. All these like there's so many like I don't know who these people are, but like they're being presented as though I should know them in some way. Yeah, I figured by the end I at least thought maybe I had enough to kind of get it, but not really. I don't think did we ever even hear the name of the pale bad Jedi? I just called her Blondie in my notes because like
No, we did
I
not
don't know
hear
what
it.
her name is.
I kept
Right.
waiting to hear the name too, but we did not get. That's
Yeah.
the only one we didn't get the name.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's Bale and Skull in there. I found the middle part a little slow, even though it was building all stuff. The middle, I mean, the beginning was pretty good, the ending was pretty good, but the middle, it's okay. Um, I didn't like. Maybe this is something about a TV show versus movie, but it seemed often when they were doing the lightsaber fights, like they clearly did not hit this guy, and the guy then falls over. Like what? Like he clearly didn't get hit. Like you could see that it didn't even come that close, too. So I don't know how much of that was a like it was TV VFX rather than movie VFX. So overall, it was good. Two quick random points I found afterwards. At the very end, it had the for somebody's name, I think Ray or something like that. That apparently is
Mhm.
the guy who played Balin Skull. Apparently, he passed
I
away
looked it
last
up.
year.
Yeah, he died. He died last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was sad.
Yeah.
The other thing which
Wow,
was
that's so
interesting,
sad.
yeah, the person who plays Hera, I looked her up for obvious reasons, but she is married to Ewan McGregor, who plays Obi-Wan.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like,
Whoa.
oh, he's a lucky guy.
wow.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
I'll pass the baton over to you, Jen.
Oh, it's me. It's my turn.
Yeah.
I
He's
don't.
like,
I
who's
No,
next?
sorry, I was just pointing, but yeah.
I 100% agree with the fact that it's kind of not fair that you have to kind of know Rebels. I think as the story goes on, you'll understand better. But I feel for the first episode, just talking about first episode, I watched it a few days ago, and then I stopped it like midway, and then I went back to start watching Rebels again to try to like because I never finished Rebels, like I told you. So I started trying to watch episodes to try to get like Ezra and Sabine and all that and kind of like understand what's going on. But I did not watch the last episode, which I probably should have watched to figure out where Ezra is and why they're mad at each other. Like, I don't know if that even is in the last episode. I'm just going to assume in Rebels. But I do agree that, like, if you probably watched all Rebels and know what's going on, it'll be an easier, like, show to watch kind of thing. Because it like that's why I had to watch it twice to understand some more stuff. So I had to like stop it midway, go watch a few episodes of Rebels, come back and watch it again, and then try to watch it again with more focus. So to me, it was
That
kind
was
of
all
like
for this watch?
for this watch, I felt like I was
Wow,
getting
commitment.
unfocused. Yeah, I felt like I was getting unfocused because I didn't know what was going on. So I kept like stopping and looking up a character and doing this and that. So it might have been an easier watch for somebody who watched all of Rebels or like knows the characters better. But I think that was like the only problem that I had that I didn't expect to have, because I thought it was going to be a whole new story, which it is a new storyline, but it has all these character relationships that I'm like confused about. So that was my take on it. But I do agree it was a great ending.
Well, I'll tell all y'all what I actually got. By the way, I just looked this up. Hu Yang, the robot, the droid, is played by David Tennant.
Yeah,
voiced by David Tennant.
I researched everything.
So I only saw this because I was trying to find out what the blonde lady's name was, and it's Shin Hati. So I just looked her up, and I saw David Tennant right next to her, right next door.
Cool.
So here we go, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but truthfully, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There were a few things that, my inner nitpicker was like, come on. Oh, this is, there were a few moments and scenes that were very cringeworthy to me. But overall, it gave us good worlds, which I love. I love they had the amazing attention to detail, which I love. I love that they create these worlds with all this detail, and you could literally pause a scene on a set, on a planet, and it kind of tells you a story about what that world is like. The ruins, the kinds of trees that they have, the animals that they have, the two suns or whatever. You could just stare at this for an hour and kind of, you could see that they built, a nice lore around each setting, and that's really important and deserves a lot of, kudos for that. So yeah, overall, it was a good show. The story was good enough. Yeah, I think that you probably get a lot more if you'd seen Rebels, which I believe I've only seen the first episode, because I think it was kind of a kids show, kids cartoon. So I wasn't too much into that. But then there was a mural that they showed behind them that had, and I was like, that must be from the Rebels show, when they were up, giving a speech, and then behind them there was like a mural up against the rock face.
Oh, yeah,
and the mural was in the design, of like a animated show. Wow. So it wasn't like a mural of them in live action. It was a mural of them as an animated show, younger, to really hit the point home that these are characters from Rebels. Overall, I don't know if I laughed really at any moments, but I never really got bored at any moment. Let's just get into this. Let's first of all, before I get into the stuff that made me cringe.
Oh, I do actually have one laugh. I was looking, I thought I had one.
Ah.
Really? What was it?
It was when what was the guy's name? Governor Azadi pushes that senator up there and says, like, he's going to speak now with some words of wisdom. And the guy's like, I laughed at that. That was my one ha in the whole thing. I have an oof too. But that was my only
an
ha.
Oof? What was the oof?
The oof was I go where I'm needed, and Sabine saying not always. Like, ooh. That was an oof.
Did you have any giggles, Jen?
No, I don't remember any. I was so focused on trying to learn what's going on, I couldn't laugh at anything. Well, I also wanted to know, what was Sabine being honored for? Did I miss that even though I watched it twice?
I thought it was because they were rebels, maybe because of the fall of the Empire. They were celebrating their role in the fall of the Empire, I guess. I don't know. But I know specifically.
It reminded me of the Little Mermaid, where when Ariel doesn't show up in the beginning to the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good analogy.
That's what it reminded me of. When King Triton's where's Ariel?
Yeah. But they mentioned Ezra was gone as part of whatever sent away Thrawn. And I thought that, I guess Sabine and everybody else was involved in that in some way. But specifics, I have no idea.
Well, Sabine was better than Ezra. So that was just a band from the 90s for everybody that likes that kind of stuff. Would you guys have a favorite character? This is very fun to delve into.
I mean, I like Terra.
Yeah, I was
The
gonna say I know
Twi'lek,
Muhammad
what are they
Farah,
called? Twi'lek?
Yeah. Is that what they're called? I don't know.
I think so.
but
They were
she's
from
very
Jabba's
pretty.
palace,
I know
right?
that.
Mm.
She's pretty.
It's
So
either
I actually
Twi'lek
like
or
her too,
Twi'lek.
actually.
You like her what?
I look at it more of like if I wanted to play a character, like who would I want to be?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I feel like she was one of them. Like I like this character. Like I would like to be, like play her like that. Like that's how I see of like who's my favorite kind of person that stands out.
That's
So
cool.
I guess so because I couldn't. I was gonna say Ahsoka because she's like the lead and she's kind of
She's
badass.
badass. Yeah.
Yeah, she's badass then. But and I like the beginning scene where she's like when she's really smart, she goes under and like zoom, they fall. So I kind of liked her the
That's
best,
cool.
but I agree her is somebody that's good. I
Yeah,
like.
she was good. I mean, not just the fact she was obviously beautiful, but aside from that fact too, like her character
Yeah, the
was well
character's
portrayed.
cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad, that's your favorite too?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
that's his favorite first.
Yeah.
weird. I didn't get that. All I noticed from her, I mean, I just liked her because she's that cool alien that I don't know how it's pronounced. It's Twi'lek or Twi'lek. It's I think apostrophe Leg, I think. But you know, from Jabba's palace where they're like dancing around or something like that. Jen, I don't know how you would play that because those things look annoying and cumbersome.
I know. I don't look
Hard
at
in the
it like
head.
all that stuff because I was thinking about that with Ahsoka too because I'm not really good with like prosthetic stuff. But I feel like if it's on your head, it's different than your face because I feel claustrophobic. So I don't think I could do anything. Like I can't do what Rico did. I would go crazy with the prosthetics on my face, but the head probably.
We'll talk a bit
I'll
more
deal.
about the cumbersome
I'll deal with
headpieces
that.
too, because I really wanted to bring that up about Ahsoka. But I think my favorite character pretty easily, I think, was the one character that they didn't give us a name for which
Oh,
they didn't give us a name, the
Oh,
blonde Sith. That
yeah, I just called her
actress,
Blondie in my notes because like I
that
didn't know her
actress was
name.
phenomenal.
She was
yeah.
really
Was
good.
She looks
very,
familiar though. Like
very
for some
good.
reason, I looked at her and I was like, "Does she look familiar?" Because she's another actress. Like I've seen her before, or she just reminds me of someone. But she looks so familiar to me. So I don't know.
Let's see. High Fidelity,
Yeah.
Pacific Rim,
What'd you say her name was in the show? Shin.
Shin Hati.
See, her name doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
Well, the actress's name is Ivana Sakno.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Her name doesn't sound like I've seen her before.
Well, anyway, I thought that she was just like the best of the bunch as far as acting is concerned. I was
Good.
very excited about how good she was, how committed she was. Just watching her, she doesn't have to say a word. She's just when they're like looking ahead at something, and she's almost got like a slightly leaned forward look, and she almost has like a slightly like almost like a dead look in her eyes. Like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
been consumed by darkness,
Yeah.
and she's just almost like dead inside, and but with kind of like a smoldering
Like you
heat
could feel
or
it.
anger, you know. And I thought that she just absolutely nailed it because she was very present and very committed to it in everything, and I thought she killed it. So I was like, I like that character. And I will say that I'm mad that Sabine obviously is not going to die. Obvious. It's so that couldn't of all. I felt like I was watching The Wrath of Khan because I was like, of all the obvious things in this I've met, this was the most obvious, right? Like,
But I think it's a good ending because you feel like, oh, she's obviously not going to die. So you kind of want to watch more to figure out how they're going to be like, she lives from that.
but
Like,
the reason it bothered me was just because I'm like, you're a bad guy, right? You're the evil doer, and you slice her in the stomach, right? And then, oh, here comes a ship. It takes you half a second to finish her off. Just cut off her head and leave. But instead, she's like, I don't have time to cut off her. Should I? And then she runs away. And then there was a droid right before that like when she's fighting one droid, rather than pulling his gun and just shooting her in the back and finishing her off, he grabs her from behind. And I was like, that is, I get.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
Because that was weird. Also, like when the droid had the ball and Blondie was fighting Sabine, why didn't the droid like run to the ship? Like, why are you still standing there? Like, get out of there, get the ball, fly away, and like everything's good, and she'll catch up.
Right. Like
I had a lot of those moments. But in the beginning, when she's Ahsoka's like fighting those like thingies, whatever, and then they're like, "Oh, self-destruct." It took them forever to self-destruct.
They have a faster countdown.
Dead.
Yeah.
So I was like, why are they taking so long to self-destruct? That's taking too long.
You know what I thought?
Those problems too.
Right. When they said time to self-destruct and she starts running, I'm like, what are you doing? Just dive behind these rocks. You have all these rock structures. Why are you running in a straight line where it can hit you? And then I realized, it's because she has like 15 minutes before they blow up. She doesn't need to dive behind a rock.
And somehow she knows that. So.
Yeah. Because my first thought was, get behind a rock. No, you've got all these rocks. These will protect you.
She was just like, and then let me just run and like have no pressure. And I was like, why aren't they exploding yet?
Did you notice, by the way, the explosion was very two-dimensional? Like it wasn't like a bubble. It was very like, that's interesting.
Oh,
they blow up.
You're right. But then what if they're lying down? Then do they blow up like that?
I don't know. I mean, that's in that sense,
standing,
like
they explode.
Yeah, Ahsoka could have probably jumped.
Like jump rope, just time it right.
Exactly.
I think maybe part of the reason why. Okay, look, I get it. If your main characters have to survive, fine. Okay, I understand they didn't want the droid to just shoot her in the back and finish her off. I understand the blonde Sith wasn't going to cut her head off. Fine. It's the main character. She's one of the main characters. She's not supposed to die, but it has to be in a believable way. That's what bothers me. But I think maybe the reason why I was kind of rooting for her to die is because I kind of didn't like her character at the beginning there, where they're introducing when she's riding the speeder forever and they're having this conversation and she's just kind of being like annoying. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Every show has that annoying character. I get it. They're the rebel. Cool, fine, whatever. But then when she did the slide under the daredevil thing, she could have killed herself. She could have killed others. For what I was just like, I don't like that. I don't like you. Maybe I'm like too get off my lawny about that. But I was like, you could have just gone around.
No, sure. I agree. I started to like her a little bit more throughout the episode, a little bit. I don't know if I would like her more if I watched more, but she was very annoying to me. I don't know, but I couldn't figure out if it was her character or the actress playing the character, because sometimes it's that way. Like, oh my God, she's just not believable as this badass girl, like, that this rebel girl. So I didn't know whether it's just the character itself or the girl playing her, but I did not like her character at all. I was just kind of like annoyed by her. I'm like, oh, like it felt like cheesy, like, oh, was that today? And it's just like, oh, shut up! Like it's
you're like, it was today. You got the Facebook invite,
and then they like everybody else smirks like they know she's the badass and blah blah. It just it wasn't believable for me. That's why I don't know if it was just the casting or the actress on that part. But as the show went on, I started to like her a little bit more, not like a whole lot, but it was way different from the beginning when they introduced the character. I was like, I don't like her.
Ryan, you made a quick comment. You referred to the woman as a Sith. And actually, when I was writing my intro, I actually initially was going to call Baylan Skoll a Sith. And I was like, wait, was he actually a Sith? So I Googled it and it said, nope, he's just a fallen Jedi. He's not actually a Sith. And that may be true for, I can't remember, Blondie. It may be true for her too.
Yeah, must be. I mean, there's no way her being a Sith is going to have a master that's not a Sith. She would just eat him alive. But when they had the red lightsabers, I just thought that meant, okay, these are.
I think the article claimed it was orange rather than red. They looked red to me, but the
article actually, I did put in my notes that hers looked like a dark orange because I just happened to be like, when they first revealed their lightsabers, I'm always like, oh, this will be cool to see what color they've chosen or whatever. And the what's her name was like a standard green. And I was like, oh, and she's obviously red. I was like, wait, is that red? I was like, no, that's actually kind of dark orange. That's really cool. I did notice that. I didn't notice that his was also dark orange, though. Did you guys like the cat?
Yeah, that was cute. I like the
Is
feet. The
that a
feet
cat?
funny. Yeah. So almost duck feet kind
I
of.
think cats are funny, but I don't know if that was a cat, but it was cute.
It was a puppet. It was definitely
Oh.
it looked a little too
A
it looked a little
puppet.
too puppety for me, but it really made me want to meet the cat that was doing the voiceover for that cat. I was like, that cat sounds freaking adorable and I want to meet it.
It might be a human that's making cat voices, so you might meet a human.
It was interesting that Baylan Skull 2 was a former youngling, like back before Anakin killed him off, and somehow that was associated with whatever happened to him later. That was interesting. Like, oh, I would love to get more backstory on that.
Hopefully we will. That is good stuff. And they did a good job of kind of intertwining some of the stories. Like what you said, they mentioned Anakin and we all went, oh, and we kind of start doing math and figure, and that's really cool. Those are really good backstory nuggets, and the way they weave them in fits fine for me. I think it totally worked. For me, there was none of it that I felt like I was like, okay, you guys are trying too hard. I felt like that all worked fine.
Yeah, it was natural. I'll grant them that, which made it harder, but it was natural.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys have a favorite moment?
Yeah, I thought one of the ones that was best was like the end scene. Honestly, I mean, just the whole fight with it. Even though it was ridiculous in many parts, it held my attention much more than a lot of the rest of it. Whereas in the beginning, I was just kind of confused. In the middle, I was a little bit bored, but the end, I was like, oh, okay. I was paying enough attention. I could get fussy.
As much as I don't like Sabine, the character or the actress, who knows, I was very more focused on the moment when she gets that message from Ezra. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite scene, but it brought me back in. So because then it made me actually go like, oh my goodness, what happened to him? And and then I kind of got like, okay. And then also their relationship, because I was like, are they like in love or whatever? But then when they mentioned like the big sister, little sister thing, it kind of was like informative for me. So I wouldn't say it was like something that was like blowing my mind, the scene, but it kind of sticks out for me more than a lot of the other scenes. Besides we're gonna self-destruct. And then they go for like 15 minutes. I also did like that thing that she did when she went under and like zoomed like that.
Clever.
I actually really enjoyed
that was cool.
Not gonna lie. Yeah, I enjoyed that scene too.
Definitely clever.
It was interesting. Sabine was a Mandalorian too. They mentioned that in passing, like, oh,
yeah,
right.
I heard
that was another little backstory thing that they kind of wove in there for us.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had
scene, right?
I was thinking about it. I mean, in my notes, one of the things I liked the most was when the guy was talking on the rock face to the audience, and the sound editing was really good because from when the camera shot was from far away, it was very echoey. And was medium, it was less echoey. When it was close up, I mean, it was pretty noticeable to maybe to the point where like I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I think it is, but I liked it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's a nice attention to detail, and the attention to details were great throughout, but that's not a moment. So maybe the moment for me was when the newly formed bad guy crew went to where like the droids had self-destructed, because then we kind of got to see the four together. We got to see the two fallen Jedi and the old lady, I think Morgan, Lady Morgan, and then they also had like a droid
Elspeth.
with them. What was
Morgan Morgan Elspeth.
Yeah, and then they also had like a fourth, like a droid or something. And I don't know, when you see like the way Star Wars is great at showing you, here's the crew, here's the 3-person crew or the 5-person crew. In this case, it was like a 4-person, and then you kind of look at them and you go like, ooh, that's a tough crew right there. That's a good. That's so I don't know. It grabbed my attention for sure. I liked it. And I'm sure they're going to have that very likely on Ahsoka's side. She's going to build her crew. And maybe this is the crew right here. But
speaking of crews,
can we talk about Ahsoka's headpiece? Because first of all, is it part of her body or is it a hat?
I don't know. I've wondered that so long too. I have no
I always
idea.
thought it was part of her body
Me
because
too.
when
It
she's
has
with
to
her
be.
other people, they all have it. I feel like that's their body.
It's not just that's her hair is like that.
But
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
so cumbersome. Like, I realize you can't turn your head. She
But also,
can't
like,
turn
I also
her head.
felt
How is she going to fight? These things are always in the way. She's swinging. She can't look this way or that. I mean, the logistics of that is a nightmare. They should, if it's part of her body and there's nothing she
I
could do
think
about it, she should still grab them and pull them back like in a ponytail.
put it in a ponytail.
Get it out of your way. It's going to kill you. You're not
But I
going to be able to
also
see the
see that
bad guys.
it kind of looks like fake plastic to me, which is it
Foamy.
like part of me is like, oh, it's part of her body, so that's just what it is. But like I always look at it so hard when she's in the scene, it's like distracting. And to me, it just looks like it's like this plastic rubbery thing. So I'm like, it's part of her body. Maybe that's just the way their skin is, blah, blah, blah. So I always thought it was part of her body, but I always thought it looked kind of like cheap. Like it's not like hard or anything, it's like rubbery. It's like, yeah. So
Okay, so I just
I don't
Googled what is on Ahsoka's head. It says, in addition to head tails, so they're tails, Ahsoka actually has another structure at the top of her head. That's this thing,
head horns.
montrals. They are sensory organs found on the head of the species Togruta and Caesarian and are used to sense movement.
So they are part of her body, right? They're like her
Yeah,
tail.
yeah.
She just doesn't have hair then.
Yeah, they don't have hair. They just have tails. I just feel like you could
Montrals.
squeeze them. That's how it looks like. You could just squeeze them and they'll like be like one of those balls, the stress balls. I feel like
Stress balls.
it's like the stress ball material. That's how it looks like to me.
Yeah, it looked foamy. Like
Yeah,
when it
like
would bend,
rubbery, like
it would.
foamy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
I
thought it was very
just,
rubbery too. Yeah.
how could you
Yeah.
not get that? It's too cumbersome. You've got to, if you're a Jedi Knight, if your life is in danger, if you're trying to hear what's going on in a bar, like just pull those things behind you. Get a rubber band,
She
have a
doesn't need
little
it. She's got the
droid follow
Force.
you.
I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. You know, she just
Yeah,
does her
but the
thing.
whole thing, I was just like, come on, you want to just be free.
She doesn't
You
need it.
know?
Remember, you could even
Maybe
cover her
that's
eyes
part
and
of
she could use the
me.
Force. She doesn't need it.
It's part of her head, so she can't get rid of it.
I wonder if like if she did like if somebody just like cut those things off her
Oh.
head if she'd be like she has like no neck muscles here, you know, so she wouldn't be able to hold her head up.
Oh,
That makes me
man.
cringe, like, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Or just like a bunch of rubber stuff comes out like from the stress ball that doesn't affect her.
I'd be like pus, you know, or something.
Yeah. What if they're like sacks? Like it's not like meaty. What if it's like
Oh,
gelatinous
like,
in there?
Oh my
Like
God.
what's in our eyeballs or something?
I mean, one of them had to get like cut. They just didn't show it like in Lifetime.
Maybe we'll see
One
it
of them
in
had
this season.
to
Everybody at
be-
home, please let us know your guesses, or if you know what is inside her globules that,
tails.
yeah, the heads or tails.
These
Let
X-ray
us,
and MRI and all that stuff to look.
is it just like meat, like a tribble? Or is it like pus, like Muhammad says? Is it gelatinous, like eyeballs? Does she have
Ew.
bones in there? Can they move on their own?
Ooh. Well,
No, like they're very flexible. Look at the
When
one in
she's
my
happy,
photo.
do they?
See?
she wag her
Yeah.
head tail.
Yeah, I almost feel like she can't put it back because I feel like they're just like stuck right here and they go down. So I don't know
Maybe
if she
they're
could
attached to the shoulder
go
too.
back, right? Kind of like that. I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong. I got to take a double. I have to like pay more focus because I actually really look at her head a lot when she's on screen. I'm like, why is it bending like that? Why is this? So it is true.
Mhm.
There's a lot of questions about that. A lot.
Yeah, I'm looking at
The
my
biology
notes
here.
and I just got a lot more nitpicks, so I won't bother with those. But I do remember hearing about Thrawn before. I don't remember if Thrawn was mentioned like 10 years ago. I don't know if Thrawn was mentioned in a book series or a video game series, but I definitely remember, I think it was a book series. I remember it was like a picture and this guy Thrawn, and you're like, whoa, that guy looks cool. But apparently at some point he was defeated. Maybe he died along with Ezra, but now that they find out that he's maybe not dead, that maybe that means Ezra's also not dead.
Yeah.
Boy, you just never know nowadays. Things can get
Now we
really
don't
weird.
know. Don't know. It almost felt like when his message, it felt like he went out to kill him and he killed him, but in the killing, he got killed himself. That's what I thought. I don't know.
Didn't sound like that.
That's what I thought.
Well,
We'll find out.
Jen, speaking of finding out, let's find out a little something about you, shall we?
Yeah.
Your
I
name
forgot about this.
is Jennifer Durst. You're an actor. You're also a writer, I bet. What's new with you?
Well, I don't know if I said this before because it's been like 2 years now, but I have the ideas for stuff, but I don't technically write them out. So I partnered up with a writer friend of mine and we finally finished a script, a full length film. So I'm excited about that. It's actually pretty much completely finished since last week. So now I'm ready to go with like my pitch deck and trying to find funding and all that stuff.
Is it a feature length?
It's feature length. It's actually a little bit longer than we wanted it to be. So we're thinking that like once we get into the process, we could figure out where to like cut and stuff. But we're just happy like it's done. It has its like ABC story. It's been an idea of mine for a while. And about 2 years ago, I confronted someone and we've been working on it since. So
you confronted someone. You're like, you better help me with this script.
It's kind of weird because it wasn't like a threat, but I was just kind of like, hey, so you write, right? And like, you know. So, and then she was on board, but she actually mentioned that she was scared because a lot of people go up to her with ideas and she doesn't really like them. And she thinks that they're either cliche or corny or cheesy and she doesn't know how to get out of it. So she was like worried to hear my idea, but then she like loved it. So she jumped on board and we've been going at it since, and finally it's done. It was just like we actually did a table read with our last one, just like a focus group table read so we could see what people thought. And we got so many people like giving comments and stuff like that. So when we went back and fixed everything compared to what the people said, and now it's like the story's it's the same theme and stuff like that, but the story changed a bit. So now we're like happy with it. So
what's the genre? I mean, you don't have to say the plot.
It's a Christmas movie.
Oh,
it's Christmas, but it's not like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh.
It's a little bit like it has a little bit of like sci-fi.
It's like Die Hard.
It's supposed to be funny. Like it's more of like not that I'm giving it to Netflix or anything like that, but it's more of like if you see a Christmas movie on Netflix where it's kind of like chaos but like funny and like not as cliche. I mean sometimes it is, but it's like it's not the Hallmark movie where she goes to a small town and like meets somebody. It's like totally different and it has like little sci-fi elements in it and like so it's pretty cool. It was just an idea that popped in my head one day and I was like I want to do this and then it just stuck in my head for a while. And I remember seeing like a quote or somebody saying that when you have an idea, if you don't use it, it goes back in the universe and somebody else will.
Oh.
So it kind of motivated me to like get it going. But it's crazy.
That is motivational.
It really is. It's scary, but it's true because like I'm looking at it now and I see so many movies that have things from my script and I'm like, they're going to think I copied them. And it's like new movies. And I'm like, they're going to think I copied them, but I had this idea probably before them, but they just have, you know, the budgets to make them snap out really quick. But it's so crazy. Like even little details that I have in the movie, I'm seeing them in other movies. And I'm like, I thought I've never seen that before. And now people are talking about it and stuff. So see, the ideas just spread if you don't use your own ideas. So
was it Head Tails?
Head Tails. Oh, we could put yeah, she stole my idea because my whole character was gonna have head tails.
Squeeze it out and then it's like clear.
Squeeze it, and I was gonna have it washing them and squeezing water out.
Well, that's really interesting. So it's a Christmas movie. Is it comedic? There's some sci-fi elements. Is it comedic?
Mm-hmm. But there's sci-fi elements, but it's more comedy for sure. It's like a comedic.
Final
funny.
question. A lot of actors write scripts with a character that just so happens to be very close to somebody they could play. Is there somebody in your script that you could play?
Yeah, the lead actress. the lead character. No, so it's crazy because I actually didn't want that, but so I basically told the writer like who this girl is and like what's gonna happen. And I took out a lot of like cliche things because I wanted to like surprise people. So I basically would tell her that and we'll go over scenes and stuff, but then she would go back and like do the dialogue and like all that. And when I read it, I was like, this character's like what the character's going through is not me, but well, actually, like her personality is not me, but what she's going through is, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
So yeah, but her personality is not like everything you read about the girl. That's not me. But the things that she's going through is everything I've been. So what happened was the writer was actually like, "Well, you told me this story once, so I added it in, and you told me this, added this in, and da da da." So, but a lot of the comedic parts are like things that actually happened to me. So it's pretty funny. Like,
wow,
it's
I hope that
life.
gets picked up.
It better get picked up. I'm gonna make it happen. It has to. Like I see everybody making their movies. I know the only problem is I think my budget is a little higher than what we agreed upon in the beginning because it's Christmas and it's like, and if you hear the story, I'll tell you guys later, but privately. But if you hear what it's about, it's going to take a lot more money than what we thought to make it like be funny and comedic. And
well, the problem is with your Christmas movie, part of the budget was that you wanted all that snow everywhere, and you said the snow must be made out of Voss, which is just like you just get regular snow. Yeah,
that's how it got to be. So,
all right. Well, can you tell everybody where they can find you online? What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter, I think my Twitter is at the Jurassic Jen, but I'm not sure because I changed it and I don't remember what I changed it to. But and then my Instagram is at Jen Dursty, and then my other Instagram, which is dedicated to Jurassic Park, is at Jurassic.Jen.
Yeah, great stuff on that Instagram too.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jurassic Jen, it does pretty well. Sorry, Muhammad's like, we're doing the karate chop. That's it. We can't talk about Instagram forever. All right. He knows it is time for the terrible twos.
The bottom line. Line on the bottom. Bottom line.
But it's the final two questions of the show.
The bottom line. The bottom line, what you think of the show.
Good point. Question number one.
Here's two.
Dr. Muhammad Noor, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Ahsoka Episode 1, Part 1, Master and Apprentice?
Yeah, it's okay. You know, it's 6.5 is what I wrote down. Like it was fine. It was good. I mean, I started to say it held my attention. It didn't greatly hold my attention, but it held my attention in parts. The world was interesting, but you know, again, there are the aspects I mentioned before that you know I didn't like the work I had to put in because I didn't see Rebels to try to figure this out. So I would have been a little bit happy if I didn't have to do that. And I did find a little slow in the middle and a couple of annoying pieces here and there, but it was fine. Actually, one other positive thing I didn't mention at the very end, which I did like, so that's why I like that end part. I liked when the droids came in that not only did they steal the ball, but they destroyed everything, so there's no record of where the map was going to take them. I was like, oh, that's smart. I like that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Jen? Scale of 1 to 10.
I'm going to give it a 7. And it's kind of like, it was funny because when Ryan was talking about what he thought Muhammad would give, or like just the general thing, I was thinking that was me kind of, not the score, because I think you said he was going to give a high score, but how I've been meaning to watch this show and I wanted to, and I had it on my list to watch because I like to watch all the Star Wars and stuff. But then I use this as an excuse to actually like watch it because I actually went on to watch it the other day and I started watching the second season of Loki. So I was like, so then I kept getting distracted. So I was actually kind of happy that we had to watch it so I could get in on it. But I would give it a 7, and it's mostly because of what Muhammad said. I felt like I had to do too much research on characters to like sit there and focus on it. But I thought it was very well done, and the ending was great, and everything was great, except I just didn't want to have to. It was just like a lot of work, like you said. So
interesting. You guys have similar feelings to mine. However, I'm going to look a little glass half full on this one, which is because I felt the same thing you guys did, which is, man, I wish I'd seen whatever it is they're referencing, right? Because then I would know more about this, or more so, I wish they weren't referencing this stuff so I wouldn't be missing out on something. But if I didn't know that if there was no Star Wars at all, and there was nothing else, there was no Rebels, there was no nothing, we just got this dropped on our laps, and we didn't have that, I bet there's more on a different show kind of feeling, it would have been fine. They gave us enough. They said, oh, what about Ezra? We know, okay, somebody important named Ezra possibly died. They missed this person. Like, the only reason it bothered us is because we know that it probably was covered in something else. But if it wasn't, they still connected the dots enough for us. A lot of shows start off with mysteries where they don't, too much so, where they're like, oh, they dropped this thing and that thing and that thing. And you have like 15 loose ends and you're like, I don't know anything that's going on. They're like, you have to watch to find out. And you're like, no, I don't. Bye. But anyway, overall, so I had a lot of nitpicks. I had a lot of little things, but then overall, I realized it's a good show, though. I give it a 7.8. I thought it was interesting. They always have great attention to detail, excellent creativity. The acting was good overall. 7.8 for me.
Hmm.
But question number 2 is, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Ahsoka, but now that the podcast is over, Dr. Muhammad Noor, of your own volition,
Skipped a line.
and we're free to move about the internet.
There you go.
Now that we are free to move about the internet, Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you, of your own volition, watch the second episode?
I watched the whole thing after it came out. Like I wasn't watching it like every week as it was coming out, but because I said I liked it, but I didn't like love it. It wasn't like For All Mankind or something like that. So I'd watch it and I might get like a week or two behind, then I'd catch up, and I get a week or two behind, and I'd catch up. So I watched it basically as it came out. It was good. I mean, the whole thing was good. I will say, if anybody's watching it, don't expect resolution at the end. Because I remember like the season finale, I'm like, what? We're stopping here?
Oh, because they're gonna have probably like a season 2, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it would be terrible if they stopped now. Because it'd be like, that's the ending?
Oh no, you're not selling me.
Yeah. But the story's good. And I mean, I can give you a big spoiler if you want, and tell everybody to like plug their ears real quick.
After.
Okay, everybody plug your ears right now. I'm going to give a big spoiler. Not my fault if you're still listening. But Anakin does show up, as does Hayden Christensen actually shows up.
The reason why I knew that though is because I went on IMDb to see characters' names and I saw him there. So I'm like, oh, he's going to show up.
Me too. When I looked for the blonde lady's name, or character name, Jennifer Durst, would you, of your own volition, watch the second episode?
Yes. I almost watched the second episode right after it ended, but I was like, I had too much focus on it took me too much focus for the first one. I'm not going to get in the second one yet, but I am. And I have a huge feeling I'm going to enjoy it more as it goes along. So I might actually go back and watch the last episode of Rebels and see if it connects. And then I could sit down and just peacefully watch the rest of the season. But I am going to watch it. I'm probably going to finish it. So
peacefully.
Well,
it's 3 yeses. Yeah, I would. I don't know if I will, especially not after Muhammad said you'd get no resolution. Maybe I'll wait till 2 seasons are out and I'll see if people are like clamoring, yay, we love it.
Then pieces that are resolved, but there's big things not resolved.
But overall, I mean, like it's a good enough show to watch the second episode. I also noticed that the episodes after this first one are shorter. They're not like an hour. They're like 45 minutes. A little more manageable.
I have to say, this didn't feel like an hour, though.
Oh, because there was like 5 minutes of credits. So it was more like 52 minutes. Anyway, yeah, good enough. Overall, I was happy to watch it. So I think everybody here was.
Yeah.
That's it for us. Everybody go out and watch Ahsoka and tell us in the comments below what you thought of this first episode, or if you've already seen it, better yet, let us know if it gets better. If you love this first episode, tell us who your favorite character is. Do you agree with Muhammad and Jen that it's the Twi'lek or Twi'lek, and how do you pronounce that? Or do you agree with me that it is the blonde, not Sith, but almost Sith fallen Jedi named Shin Hati or Hatai? That's it for us, everybody. What I'm trying to say is This podcast was rebellious.
This podcast had the force.
Ooh. This podcast was so much fun.
That too.
Jen's the voice of reason for sure. Everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us a 5-star rating if you're listening in, and a nice review. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tell us what you thought of the show in the comments below. And always remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg likes to say.
Don't forget to be an organ donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
All right, everybody. Freeze frame like a droid that's about to self-destruct.
My eyes blinked.
No, we have to just sit here for 15 minutes. Because they...
That shit.